Good evening, everyone. Oh, there's our sponsors. Great job. We want to thank everybody for tuning in today. We have a special guest, Jake Highfill. We were just talking the last segment about his primary challenger, how he's planning on overcoming that. And we're going to continue that discussion about his political campaign right now. We were talking a little bit about, during the break, about how you win primaries, particularly state-level primaries with shoe leather. So my first question is, what kind of shoes do you prefer? And my second question is, how many do you go through in a campaign season?
My first time around, when my first primary in 2012, I went through 4 pairs of dress shoes. So after that, I gave up dress shoes. I did 1 pair of running shoes, but I really don't like running shoes, so I bought PF Flyers. So my PF Flyers, you guys ever seen this movie Sandlot? Guaranteed to make you run faster and jump higher. So I wear PF Flyers, and when I door knock, and I'm telling you, it works. It's a secret.
All right. So, and you went through 4 pairs of shoes. You got these great shoes. You run around. Looks like, honest to goodness, it looks like he's down at least 20 pounds here in the studio. You can't really tell because it's just, we're talking heads, so you see the head.
Well, thank you.
So, how did you do that? Was that on purpose or just the recent hot weather, you sweated it off?
A little bit on purpose. I've always wanted to lose a few pounds, but also when you say, for example, I work out in the morning, work all day, like I door knock today from 3:30 until 6 here, and do that every day, door knock Saturdays and Sundays. You can eat whatever you want. You walk outside for 10 hours on a Saturday by yourself, you can pretty much eat anything you want. I had steak 4 nights last week because I can eat whatever I want and I'm still losing weight.
So that representative job's paying for the steak. That's pretty
all
good
$25,000
right
of it.
$25,000. Does that only give you?
Yeah. Stipend too.
But all right. Well, that's not too bad. And you go do this on your own, and nobody has beat you up or thrown anything at you or anything like that so far.
No, you have a few people, be honest with you, it is, like I said earlier, the best response I've ever gotten in my 3 times running now. And also, some of it is almost like, are you running again? I thought only 2-year terms. Like, I didn't just see you last year, Jake, but great responses. A lot of, we voted for you last time, vote for you again, thanks. Short doors, but a lot of good conversations at the doors. And when you run for primaries and when you remind it, I'll tell you what, it reminds you why you ran for office. And I truly believe that because these are the people that, ideologically almost always agree with you. Not always, but tend to agree with you more than the average independent voter would. These are the people that, I'm a conservative, you're conservative with me. These are the people that you run for office. They bring up issues that we maybe don't necessarily talk about in the general election. So it kind of reminds you why you ran for office in the first place. And it truly helps you out and it reminds you why you're there, why you're sent there, not for the little stuff, but the things you really want to get accomplished there. And I'll tell you, today was a fun day in particular. I've seen a lot of old people, but it was a fun one and a lot of people brought up fun issues and that's how it works.
So what's been the number one question people have asked you about the policies you support? What's their number one issue?
I always start off by saying I don't ever say if I don't know who they are right away. I always say personally, hi, I'm Jake Highfill. I'm your state representative. I say my town's Johnson Grimes, a little bit of Urbandale in the Iowa House. And I say I'm a conservative Republican. I like to put that in there more or less because I think there's a difference between being a conservative and a Republican, as you already know this. And I tend to fall on the more conservative side, especially fiscally and some other issues. So that's kind of where I always say that to myself. And then I talk to them, and to be honest with you, most of the time, they're so caught off guard that they came to your door, they don't have something for you on the spot. They usually email you or call you 15, 20 minutes later. So I always leave my personal cell phone number and my personal email right there. And I've had this more than once. I go back home, check my emails real quick, 10, 15 emails. Hey, I've got to ask you this, Jake. Whether it be taxes, which is always a big one. I had a gentleman today who's a state trooper who I graduated high school with his daughter, and we're friends, and we talked about state trooper levels and how they were 20 years ago and issues that we can run into and how some of that whole stuff. Talk about 10, 15 minutes, actually. Another issue, like I told you earlier, my conservative teacher wasn't happening a lot. He talked about Common Core. He talked about the regulations from the top-down approach and how he wants to control his classroom, and that's why he's a conservative. And he wanted to grab lunch to talk more about it. So we're going to do that here, I think, in a week or two. We talked about it. He's going to call me. But those are issues that you hear a lot of the doors and issues that I agree with, things that I'm passionate about. So that's always a lot of fun to talk about.
Well, great. So has anybody talked about the 10% gas tax at all with you this time? Is that an issue that's going to be hanging around this election cycle, you think?
Depends where you are. Some districts wanted it, and it was very clear they wanted it. And my district didn't want the gas tax, but you go across the state, there's some issues that people ran on the issue. So I don't think it'll be an issue for those particular issues, but I think it will be brought up. I think it'll be more to our base than anything. Personally, I don't think it's gonna be a huge backlash because the people, no Republican in Polk County or Dallas County voted for it, and because our people tend to be against it. I think it'll be a bigger issue for our base. Our base gets frustrated. We sent you there to do this, and you raise taxes on us, and we want income tax cut. But that's my bigger concern than the actual fallback in the election, because I don't think people that in rural Iowa where they really wanted it. There's areas where people wanted it and they campaigned on it, and they got it. And there's people like me who've been a no, and Zon's a no, and all Polk County and Dallas County have been no's. And so I think that's a bigger fallout, in my opinion.
All right. But you don't think that's going to be something that's going to weaken? Well, because here's my take on the next governor. We have Governor Branstad for the next 4 years, and
2 left.
Oh, and he's got 2 left. And I don't think, now I was wrong last time, because he promised me face to face in front of witnesses, one of which was a holy man, that Chris was not going to let him run. And Chris is his wife. And sure as heck, he ran. So I don't think he's going to run again, but he could. But I think that there's going to be an open seat. Who do you think is going to take that spot if the governor decides not to run again? Is it going to be Governor Highfill?
You got to be 30 years old to run for governor. I'm only 26.
Oh, well, and
that's an easy default answer.
Oh, that's an easy default.
Did I tell you when Zahn ran for Congress, his seat would have been up. So flip over, and I was only 24, and the registrar called me and asked me, and I said, well, I didn't want to mess with him for a little bit, and I told him, I said, I'm not 25, so I can't run for Senate because I'm 21 for the House, 25 for the Senate. So I'm like, I'm consider it legally can't run for it.
Yeah.
But my point is that I think lieutenant governor might run. That's pretty obvious. Yeah. A lot of people talk about that. I think the Cedar Rapids Mayor, Ron Korbick, has expressed interest.
Yes.
I think not a big secret. But I don't think it's an open seat. I think there's more people that run. I think there's some serious contenders. Some folks around here. I can plug some of my friends.
Now, Ron Corbett's a Republican out there,
yes.
Right? Yeah. Which is shocking in such a democratic stronghold. They do have Rod Bloom out there as their congressman.
And that was huge.
I like him a lot too.
Yeah. I tell Jack Woodford to run all the time because he could do it. He's a good friend of mine, Senator from Ankeny.
And he would be an insider candidate. And number one, and number two, if you've never seen Jack or his wife or his kids, these are the cutest kids,
That's wins them elections. I tell them that all the time.
I don't care who you are, and his wife is beautiful and funny and smart. I've met Jack several times, and he's very clever and very articulate. And the kids, I just see the kids on Facebook like everybody else, but I'm just like, holy smokes, how do you get a guy that good looking? So
I tell them that all the time. I said the only reason what you should do is take the kids around, and that's how you win elections. Because
absolutely,
don't talk, Jack. And then that's what I always tell them is let the kids do all the work for them.
Now we're up against another break. We're with our special guest Jake Highfill, state representative for District 39, very conservative district, and he's being primaried this year. So, and in the middle of his busy campaign, he decided to come on and just talk to me. I think it's because Lefty was gone, because Lefty can irritate anybody. So we're going to be back right after this break. I did miss somebody's birthday. Steve, happy birthday! We'll be back right after this break. We couldn't do what we do without you.